this without the inclusion of that urgency clause, because I do need to get our engineer to be more responsive and responsible when I ask for greater clarification. And absent that clarification in this particular item, I would ask that you approve the recommendation absent the urgency clause.
Thank you. Then, Mr. Mayor, I move we approve Ordinance 1451, authorization of contract with R.L. Reimers Company for the 2017 WWTP sludge storage improvements, amended without the emergency clause.
Second.
Motion's been made by Councillor Hensley and so seconded by Councillor Height to approve Ordinance 1451, authorizing contract with R.L. Reimers Company for the 2017 wastewater treatment plant sludge storage improvements as amended. Any discussion or question?
I would apologize to the council and the mayor for failing to provide adequate justification and documentation for that emergency clause, and I take full responsibility. I should have caught it.
Sir? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? That carries 5-0. Thank you.
The next item we have is Ordinance 1452. This is authorizing a contract with Master Clean, Inc. for janitorial services for various city facilities not to exceed $55,687.
We have been fortunate in that we have a long-term relationship with Master Clean. The gentleman whom most of you have run into at one time or another, Jim Dye, has done a very good job for us for many years in the city. Because we are changing so much in our day-to-day operations, we felt it was appropriate to seek a new agreement with Mr. Dye and to really quantify the level and scope of services that would be provided in each of our buildings, including within the new library and civic building. So what you're seeing before you is a new agreement with a revised scope to address the revised needs that we have as a result of adding this building and removing the old library, civic building, and finance and planning buildings.
Questions at all? No?
Yeah, I'm curious.
Yes.
So there's a change of, so like 56, not to exceed 56,000. How much were, like, what's the difference? Like, how much, what is the estimated difference?
You know, I don't remember exactly what the number was, and I didn't put it in the staff report. We did change the scope fairly substantially, so I think that this is a really good price from him. I think it is pretty close to what it was, as I recall, when taking into consideration all of the other buildings that he was, removing them and then adding this one, and doing an apples-to-apples comparison. I think that based on an hourly rate, it's virtually the same. He hasn't increased his rates in several years.
Yeah, thanks.
But I'm sorry, I can't give you the exact number.
Motion, please.
I'll make a motion. I move that we approve, or adopt, that is, Ordinance 1452, authorizing a contract with Master Clean Incorporated for janitorial services for various city facilities not to exceed $55,687.
Thank you. Second. Motion's been made by Councillor Height and seconded by Councillor Coleman to approve Ordinance 1452, authorizing a contract with Master Clean Incorporated for janitorial services for various city facilities not to exceed $55,687. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Carries 5-0.
The next item we have is Ordinance 1453. This is authorizing a contract with Gresham Ford, Oregon, Day Wireless Systems of Salem, Oregon, Daytech of Seattle, Washington, Motorola Solutions of America, MPH Industries of Owensboro, Kentucky, Hot Rod Dreamworks of Canby, Oregon, and Ford Motor Credit Corporation for the lease purchase of two 2017 Ford Police Interceptors with police equipment packages for the Canby Police Department and declaring an emergency.
And I can speak to this a little bit. There is a continuation here of basically the replacement plan that the police have in place for, taking out older vehicles in their fleet and putting in new ones. And I know you guys are pretty well versed, but just for the cameras and all that, is that the idea is that, police patrol vehicles obviously have to be up to speed, literally and figuratively, and their maintenance outpaces at a certain point their usefulness. And so it's particularly true of the ones that are out there, patrolling and idling all day long for about 100,000 miles. And so their replacement schedule tries to account for basically that cost-benefit analysis of when that outpace happens and the maintenance becomes too onerous. So we have two vehicles. They were on a piggyback bid, I believe, so that they did find the best price, and price was one of the driving factors, and you'll see that these are actually Fords. So they're going to an American company, but a different company than the Tahoes, right? Because I believe that they found in this area there was a couple of other agencies who had some really good things to say about switching over to these particular vehicles, and so I think they want to give that a try, at least in the short run. Plus, it's a cheaper way to go. So, and I believe it was Clackamas, and I think Oregon City also has tried these out. And then I know the police actually went out and they test drive these things with the police packages on them to see which ones to handle and which ones they're going to live with. And so I think they've done their due diligence in trying to get you the best price for the best vehicle that is still American made and that is a part of their plan that they plan for every year.
Good.
Any questions for staff?
You can do that.
Any clarifying
I
questions?
do have one question for
Yes.
staff. There was some question on the cost per unit here. That the number that's presented there is that a per unit cost? What is the cost of a fully decked out
Well,
police car?
I believe this entire cost is for two of them, so I think the cost per unit is $52,000.
Okay, that's in Mara. That's in my memory of what the range is that we've been paying, if not a few thousand less. So, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion. I move that we adopt Ordinance 1453, authorizing a contract with Gresham Ford, Oregon, Day Wireless Systems of Salem, Oregon, Daytech Inc. of Seattle, Washington, Motorola Solutions of America, MPH Industries of Owensboro, Kentucky, Hot Rod DreamWorks, right here in Canby, Oregon, and Ford Motor Credit Corp. For the lease purchase of two 2017 Ford Police Interceptors with police equipment packages for the Canby Police Department and declaring an emergency.
Second.
Question? For Joe? Or for Rick?
Okay.
Again, for the viewing audience, the use of the emergency clause, I'm assuming, is for a quote deadline?
Well, correct. And I think they can lock in this price for one, but then also they can get these vehicles a month earlier, and they're arguably, an essential service of the police to have, vehicles that they can rely on, jump in and actually respond to emergent situations as soon as possible. So for both those reasons, they would ask for the emergency clause.
I figured that was it, but it lessens how many texts I get tomorrow, so thank you, Joe.
Mr. Mayor, can I ask one more question?
Yes, sir.
It says in here, and I wasn't exactly sure, it said the lease/purchase.
Yeah.
Is this a combination where it's a lease for a while and then we purchase it at the end of the lease, or I didn't understand how they
The
were working
price is
that out.
built in. I think the idea is it's a lease so that I assume you could, and I haven't looked at the particular lease with a fine-tooth comb to say, something is up and we don't want to go that direction, let's just give it back, versus, buy it outright and deal with it that way. But the lease purchase, basically over the 5 years, and I think part of it is budgetary, if I recall, is that they pay, incrementally so that they'll own this vehicle basically at the almost end of its useful life. And then that way that works out in the budget, and then they can sell it at the end for whatever recovery of funds, and then put it back into the program.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. And we typically lease through Ford Motor Company for these vehicles, and they do have a lease-to-purchase program that they offer to public agencies. It's very favorable, so it works out well both for the public agency and for Ford Motor Company in administering. And I'm assuming that this goes through their lease program, as virtually all of the vehicles I've seen come through in the last 2 years have.
That's my understanding as well.
All right, thank you.
One more easy question.
Yes.
Our schedule's about 2 per year, is that correct? We replace about 2 per year? Okay.
Yeah, we do have, last year we actually replaced 3 because we had one that went out of service because it blew an engine and the cost of the engine was too great, and we were able to cobble together enough money for a down payment to be able to put another vehicle in service and account for it in the budget without having to do a supplemental transfer. But typically, we look to 2 a year, except in extraordinary circumstances.
The motion's been made by Councillor Parker and seconded by Councillor Hensley to approve Ordinance 1453, authorizing a contract with Gresham Ford, Oregon, Day Wireless Systems of Salem, Oregon, DATEC or Datatech Inc. of Seattle, Washington, Motorola Solutions of America, MPH Industries of Owensboro, Kentucky, Hot Rod DreamWorks of Canby, Oregon, and Ford Motor Credit Corp. For the lease purchase of 2 2017 Ford Police Interceptors with police equipment packages for the Canby Police Department and declaring an emergency. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Carries 5-0. Thank you all. Appreciate that. We don't have any new business this evening. Staff, City Administrator's business and staff reports.
And just a couple items. The first is that I do have the third and probably final C4 Housing Subcommittee meeting tomorrow morning to review progress to date and probably begin drafting the final report that will come to C4 in December. You don't have it on your agenda tomorrow night. I don't believe you've got a full agenda as it is. Would also like to comment on the alley behind our library and civic building, which you all notice has not yet been paved. The weather has not been cooperating, and we're having difficulty in not only dealing with the wet weather, but also in getting our project set as a priority, because there are so many other projects that were ahead of ours that are backed up that the pavers are trying to get to. So we are working now with a couple different paving companies trying to see if we can sneak our project out ahead of a couple others that may not have quite the priority that we do. In the interim, I have instructed our Public Works Department, and I believe they completed it yesterday, to fill in that area immediately behind the plaza with a base rock and compact it so that we don't have any issues in driving through to the book drop, and so that people pushing carts going through the plaza to other places in the north part of the city can do so without having to worry about a steep drop-off. So it's now at least a safe place to traverse, and we'll re-excavate as soon as we get word that we have paving contractor on board and under contract. And I guess that's probably it for right now.
Did you want to say anything? I just noticed the Wilson Construction thing came through. They were donating their time to move that.
Oh, that's actually a wonderful comment to make. Wilson Construction is a local contractor in town, and they have volunteered to donate their time and equipment to move the helicopter at the Vietnam Memorial so that it can be renovated and replaced after the repairs are done to it. And I do really want to publicly thank Wilson Construction for the work that they've done and in preparing for the move, and the work that they're going to do both in removing the helicopter and then returning it once the improvements have been made and the repairs have been done. Thank you for that.
Amazing. That's very, very generous of them. They're a great,
It really is.
great partner here in our city, so that's great. Thank you. Excuse me. Anything else?
That's all I have.
All right. Second opportunity for citizen input is if there's any additional comment or whatnot this evening. Okay. Seeing none, we'll go to action review.
I have one thing. I just want to remind everyone that ballot drop boxes are located outside the old City Hall and outside McDonald's. We're having people bring them here, and they're still in the same locations, but the ballot box that's in front of the old City Hall will be moved here after the election. So for action review, you've approved the consent agenda, you've adopted ordinance 1449, and you've approved ordinances 1450, 1451, 1452, and 1453 to come up for second reading on November 16th, 2016.
Kim? Joe, is there an executive session this evening?
There is not.
Okay. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Motion's been made by Councilor Height, seconded by Councilor Coleman to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? We kind of
Oh,
eased
there'll be
into that
times
one.
we'll be here till 10 o'clock and you won't think that.
We will consider the meeting adjourned. Thank you, Camby. Have a great night.